Sadman, mute yourself. You should all should mute.
এখানে জুমের মতন ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড অ্যাড করে গেলে ভালো।
Greetings to all eco enthusiasts and welcome all of you to this International Youth Conference on Ecosystem Restoration, South Asian Perspective. It is my pleasure to be the host for the conference today. I am Madara Chala and I am a climate ambassador at EcoNetwork Sri Lanka. On behalf of EcoNetwork Daffodil International University team, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you and we appreciate you taking off your busy schedules to join us today. You can also reach us via Facebook through EcoNetwork Facebook page. So today is World Environment Day, a very big day for all the nature lovers around the world who love nature, care for it, and show their courage to work for it. Over a period of time, our Mother Nature is facing a series of destruction in all its ecosystems by anthropogenic activities. Majority of people are really unaware of how their activities affecting the environment or simply they don't care. But good news is, today's youth are much more vocal about the destruction going on within our nature and they strictly stand against it. Let me assure you that you are not alone. We all are in this together. As it's 2021 and we are entering decade of ecosystem restoration, the EcoNetwork Daffodil International University team has arranged this International Youth Conference. EcoNetwork is a youth-led organization that works for environmental sustainability since its inception on 22nd September in 2018. It is such a platform where anyone can join and take some actions for protecting our environment. We work on SDG goals, SDG number 5, SDG number 6, SDG number 7, SDG number 13, and SDG number 15. Now, EcoNetwork is working in Bangladesh, India, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Philippines, and Ghana. The Earth Needs Lab is a youth-led organization that works to put forward ideas, suggestions, and research as well as encourage, aware, and empower youth, children, and general public to work for the key thematic. It aims to strengthen, empower, and mobilize environmental minds to come up for environmental conservation. This youth conference is a collective effort of Environment Eco-Network organization in collaboration with Earth Needs Lab. Okay, so we have 4 special national and international youth leaders with us to discuss about the various aspects of the vulnerable ecosystems and where to restore them in respect to their countries. You can expect each speaker to have the floor for about 15 to 20 minutes and we'll conduct a short Q&A at the end of each presentation. So if you have any questions during the discussions, please type them into the chat or comment box and we'll address them in the Q&A session. Okay, so without any further ado, let's proceed to our speakers. Before we get started, I want to ask you a question. Have you thought for a moment about the importance of aquatic ecosystems? Okay, I'll explain. Aquatic ecosystems perform many important environmental functions. For example, they recycle nutrients, purify water, attenuate floods, recharge groundwater, and provide habitats for wildlife. Freshwater and marine are the two prominent parts of world aquatic ecosystem. Over years, both freshwater and marine ecosystem are going through tremendous degradation. Well, now let's have a look over the situation of aquatic ecosystems in Bangladesh.
Excuse me, mother, you are on mute. Sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry. I want to call Mr. Tasri Parian. We want to play the video. Can you share it with us? So this is a journey forward over obstacles. So we apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. Well, let's wait for a moment. Okay, without any further ado, I think it is better to move on to our first speaker. So today we have two youth leaders from Bangladesh to talk about freshwater ecosystem vulnerability in Bangladesh. So now I'm giving the floor to our first speaker, Mr. Shadman Sakib. He is the coordinator of Eco Network Daffodil International University team. He is the executive of Social Business Student Forum, and he is also a writer. Mr. Shadman Sakib, the floor is yours. So, Mr. Shatman Sakib is having some technical issues. So, I would like to invite our second speaker from Bangladesh. So, I invite Ms. Ivy Akhtar. She is a researcher, youth advocate on water and climate, environmentalist, energy activist, and a green blogger. Now is your chance, Ms. Ivy Akhtar.
Excuse me, Ivy, you are on mute.
Okay, greetings everyone. So much technical issues is going on. I apologize to all of you that my first speaker from our country is not present. So he is about to talk about the freshwater ecosystem. As we know that aquatic ecosystem is two types, and in Bangladesh it also has two types: the rivers and the marine water ecosystem. I guess the speaker is here. So, Satman,
Hey,
can you share
so,
your slides? We are on
yeah,
live,
yeah, of
so
course, of
I
course,
think.
of course.
Okay,
Thank,
so I'm
thank you,
muting
thank you,
again.
thank you, Madara, for giving me the floor. I was the background. Uh, I'm hearing you, but can't respond.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay,
Oh, 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 it's
share
okay.
your slides.
So, let's begin. Hello everyone, greetings, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sadnan Sakif, currently doing undergraduation in Environmental Science and Disaster Management from Daffodil International University and coordinator of Eco Network DIU team. So today I'm going to give an overview on freshwater ecosystem of Bangladesh. Let's start the discussion with the definition of freshwater ecosystem. So what is freshwater ecosystem? Freshwater ecosystem means the interrelation between living and non-living organisms in a water body, but this water body is not salty like sea. Okay, there is three types of freshwater ecosystem. It is a lotic, lentic, and wetland freshwater ecosystem. So, what is freshwater ecosystem? In lotic freshwater ecosystem, the water body will not have any flow. It has no flow like ponds. The water of the pond is stuck in one place. And lentic freshwater ecosystem, it is river. It has this water body has flow, like river brings water from its origin to the sea. And the last, wetland freshwater ecosystem. The example of it is mangrove. Bangladesh also have a mangrove forest called Sundarban. So today we are going to discuss or have a discussion on river, the most important freshwater ecosystem of Bangladesh. Let's begin. Freshwater ecosystem in Bangladesh. In this slide, we have a river map of Bangladesh rivers. Look all over the map. There is a lot of river. So it is safe to say Bangladesh is a land of river. Bangladesh has around about 230 small and large river. About 140 million people are directly and indirectly depends on river for their living and transportation. Bangladesh water Bangladesh freshwater ecosystem has nearly 260 species. Can you believe it? It is really very important for Bangladesh how important the river is. But it's a matter of concern. River ecosystem is the most alarming ecosystem in Bangladesh. It is polluting the
Mr. Sharman Sakib, you are not audible. I think he's having a serious technical issue. Okay, till he joined again, we can go for the video. Let's watch the situation in Bangladesh, aquatic ecosystems. Okay, now it is the time for our second speaker, Miss Ivy Akhtar. I'll introduce her again. So, Miss Ivy Akhtar is a researcher, youth advocate on water and climate, environmentalist, energy activist, and a green blogger. She's going to talk about marine ecosystem in Bangladesh. Here is your chance, Miss Ivy Akhtar.
Okay. So am I audible? I guess yes.
Of course, you're audible.
So everyone, greetings again. I'm here again. So now, as our first speaker, Satman Sakib, has already given hints about the freshwater ecosystem and the species biodiversity in Bangladesh, and we have also seen the video where the situation of freshwater ecosystem or rivers, especially rivers, we have observed. So I will now go directly to the marine, as all the west of rivers are directly end up in the river sea, the Bay of Bengal in our country. So just let's have a overlook over here. So I'm just sharing my screen. Okay. Let me know if my screen is shared. It's sharing, I guess.
Yes, of course. You can continue.
So as already Madara has introduced myself, so I will not take any time in here introducing myself. Okay, start with the marine ecosystem. So we already now we have known about the marine ecosystem, isn't? So the marine ecosystem, and the marine ecosystem is basically mean the interaction. As we know that freshwater ecosystem means the interaction between the plants, between the organisms, between in the river. And the marine ecosystem is its simplest form is the interaction between the living, like the plants, animals, and non-living things within the marine culture. And all these things, the soil texture, the temperature, the uniqueness of plants, species, all this made up the marine ecosystem. And it's covered more than 70% of the Earth's surface. Here we can see the image of Earth, and we can clearly say that yes, our Earth is just all about water, right? And it's that approximately 90% of total water are dominated by the marine water bodies like seas and oceans. So rivers roughly may take 10%, 90% are taken by the marine ecosystem. And we know, as our first speaker said, that marine fresh water is not that salty because there are absence of some components which are present in the marine water, like sulfur, calcium, potassium, and that's why we the marine water is salty and we can't drink it. Okay, the next slide. Well, now let's have an overview over the biodiversity of marine ecosystem. Well, as I mentioned just now, that there are plants like phytoplankton, zooplankton. There will be fishes from tuna to shark, and also mammals like the cute dolphins, and also the mollusks like octopus. Okay, so in Bangladesh, basically the Bay of Bengal is the our marine resource, and it is known as the 64th largest marine ecosystem, which is surrounded by 8 countries like the Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Maldives, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. So you can guess that. If as I am about to talk about the pollution from, as you can see that the river is surrounded by these particular countries, so definitely if the water gets polluted, this country the source may be from these countries, or the affected ones will be definitely these countries. Now, so let's have an overview over the biodiversity of Bay of Bengal. So the flora or algae is there is about 168, which was recorded very before. Okay, so it was a past record. Now almost all of them, almost not almost, like many of the species are gone threatened. So in fauna there are corals, very much important. We must have here the coral reef ecosystem, which I will emphasize more on later. Then the mollusks, stream, fish. There are 442 fish species in our Bay of Bengal, and also mammals. So why now we will look on to the facts that why the ecosystem of our Bay of Bengal is vulnerable, why it's destroying, or why it's degrading. Well, if we consider the which are directly affecting the ecosystem of marine, the first culprit is oil spills. Here you can see image. This is basically in Chittagong, Kornfuli River near the Chittagong. So it's really common to oil spill from the boats, from the launches, or the vehicles are moving over the surface of water in. So oil spills. The second one is the shipwrecking industry. Those are just near the port of the Bay of Bengal or coastline. The another is the offshore gas exploitation. So you can see in this picture that all these are just so near from the Bay of Bengal. Well, if we consider the indirect agents, well, the first one is marine litters. Marine litters mean such as plastics. Like as we said that all the river waste are ultimately end up in the Bangopsagar. So the waste, the plastic is not degradable, right? It not going to be rotten. So it's flow with the river, come in Bay of Bengal, just discard in Bay of Bengal. Well,
Miss Ivy Akhtar, yeah, she's having a technical issue. So, right. So I'm going to invite our third speaker. We are having so many technical issues, and we've managed it somehow. Right. So we have our third speaker here. So as the third topic, we are going to talk about man-made ecosystem. Man-made ecosystem contributes in conservation of species diversity, but also it involved in biological interaction of living species, resulting in the attainment of biological activity of various species in such a system. But man-made ecosystem like agriculture are going through some serious threats over here. Let us now briefly look at the fate that has befallen the man-made ecosystem of Pakistan today.
So, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Ivy, Mr. Shamim, and every other person who is the part to line up this wonderful conference. And thank you, Madara, for the introduction. And I am very much
Excuse me,
obliged.
Maria.
So I'm just going to.
Excuse me, Miss Maria. I just need
Yeah.
a minute to introduce yourself, right? Okay. So to discuss about man-made ecosystem of Pakistan, I invite our youth speaker from Pakistan, Ms. Mariam Ikhan. She is executive in chief of the organization The Earth Needs Love. She is also an environmentalist, climate reality leader, and SDG advocate. Yeah. Now you can start, Ms. Mariam Ikhan.
Okay, that previously that was fine also. Thank you so much for the again adding up the introduction. Thank you so much. I'm very much obliged, Madara. So I'm just going to share my screen and give me a second. It is visible to all of you. So, as Madara has already introduced myself, so my name is Mariam Khan, and I'm an executive in chief of the Earth Needs Lab. And today I'm going to talk about the and restoration strategy. How many ecosystems are there, especially in Pakistan, and which is the most important one, and how it is getting impacted, and what Pakistan is doing for it. So just get into the slides, and we are just starting that what is man-made ecosystem. So man-made ecosystem is an ecosystem which is created and maintained by human, and we can also consider them to be the artificial ecosystem. They are the part of nature, but they are managed by the humans. There are different types of man-made ecosystem, and these four are the main man-made ecosystems that are present in Pakistan. So number one is agriculture, then garden, aquarium, and poultry. So just for your information, agriculture is a cultivated field or agro-ecosystem, which is a natural system altered by men. If we talk about the garden, so garden is a planned space cultivation for the enjoyment of plants and other forms of nature. If we talk about the aquarium, so aquarium is an establishment where aquatic organisms are kept and also exhibited. And lastly, if we talk about the poultry, so poultry is a place where the domesticated birds are kept by humans for their eggs, their meat, and their feathers. Moving forward, if we talk about the most important man-made ecosystem of Pakistan, so it is the agriculture. And why agriculture is so much important for Pakistan? Because it contributes to 26% of Pakistan GDP. Not only this, the labor force in Pakistan, the total labor force in Pakistan, out of which 42.3% of labor force is the part of the agriculture sector. And lastly, a huge area of Pakistan is under cultivation. That is 22.1 million hectare that is involved in agriculture. So it is very important for the Pakistani government to maintain this man-made ecosystem because of its huge participation in the economy as in the labor force and everything. So if we talk about the impacts on agriculture, so there are a lot of primary and secondary impacts that are imparted on agriculture, but these four are the main impacts that our agriculture faces. Number one is land degradation. Number two, extreme weather conditions. Number three, altered precipitation, and lastly, its pollution. If we talk about the land degradation, so Ministry of Climate Change Pakistan has reported that 2 million hectare land have been affected by water logging and around 5 million hectare by salinity. So we can assume that out of 22.1 million hectare, this 7 million hectare is already affected. Then we talk about the extreme weather conditions. So extreme climate changes have affected the small farmers a lot, and it is such a misfortune that 80% of the total farmers in Pakistan are small farmers. So we can see that the climate change could impact the 80% of the farmers of the country. So there is a time to focus on this man-made ecosystem. Then, if we talk about the increased or altered precipitation, so there is an increased evapotranspiration rate, which has been observed due to high temperature, that has increased the water demand of all the crops by 10 to 30% in Pakistan. Not only this, we are facing the solid waste management, lack of solid waste management in our country, and we have to link these both problems, because land pollution reduces the ability of land production. So we have to cope up with this as well, because agriculture does not get impacted by one single problem, but it gets impacted by the nexus of problem, both primary and secondary, and we have to deal with all of them. So if we talk about that, how Pakistan is dealing with it, there are several projects Pakistan is doing at government scale, at individual scale, at the institutional, public, and every level. And people are working on it. People are researching about it. So the main projects I have just, considered are these. So first of all, it is a restoration of livelihoods in Fata, and it is a phase 2 project. This project was meant to focus on improving agricultural productivity through innovative farming practices and technology. And you can see the people who are very much, under the poverty line, and they need this type of projects to help with their agriculture. Then we have the second project, which is the restoration of livelihoods in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa tribal areas. And the project is assisting about 42,000 households in 4 selected tribal districts designated as high priority areas for food security and health and protection. We are talking about the livelihoods because it is the people who are running this ecosystem. So it is very important to make their livelihoods at a better level, to a better level, so that they can contribute more and more towards this man-made ecosystem and fulfill the food demand of Pakistan. Then we talk about the third project. So it is the restoring subsistence and commercial agriculture in Fata. The project addresses both the short-term recovery and rehabilitation needs of those who have remained in the area, as well as those who have recently returned, and focusing on the long-term agriculture development needs of the target communities. Nextly, if we talk about the next project, that is the restoration project running in Pakistan for the agriculture purposes. So it is the livelihood restoration, protection, and sustainable empowerment of vulnerable peasant communities in Sindh province. This project is very nice because it has helped the smallholders in Sindh to adopt system of rice intensification practices and technology. And this SRI, system of rice intensification practices, has enabled the vulnerable farmers to combat the increasing water shortages in their areas by installing a variety of water efficient technologies. So this is a youth conference, and we are talking about the youth and the youth participation, or specifically the South Asian youth. So what the youth can do for restoration of agriculture? It's not about the farmers only, it's not about the government only, it's about all of us to take the part. So what youth can do? So youth can do the 5 main things. They can do the advocacy. They can tell people how it is important to work for agriculture. The youth can increase the mass awareness. They can aware the people that why it is important to work for agriculture, why we are paying heed to this issue in Pakistan. Then there comes the individual initiatives, because there are a lot of individual initiatives people are taking for the restoration of agriculture. Then all of the youth should promote sustainable agriculture. They can promote sustainable agriculture by awareing people that pesticides are bad for agriculture, or other not pesticides particularly, but the hazardous pesticides that has hazardous compounds that impact and get accumulated in the crops. So we have to aware the masses about that also. And lastly, all individuals can do is the kitchen gardening. If you can do nothing, you can grow your coriander, cilantro, or your mint, or your green chilies, and small short rooted crops at your home, and promote kitchen gardening. That will actually help out to put lesser pressure on our lands. If I talk about that, what I do for land restoration and agriculture restoration, so I do Z farming. So a Z farming is a project that uses no land at all. It requires no land. It is a no land project. We can also call it a zero acreage farming because it requires 0 acres. We occupy as lesser land as possible. So, and the purpose behind this project, this Z farming project or zero acreage farming project, is basically to generate the concept of localizing food and using the waste rooftops of private land and public buildings to reduce the food miles, specifically that ultimately reduce the petrofuels that helps to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. All in all, then this project also helped to reduce the pressure on the food production on land, and we produce the food on our local buildings. So it actually helps us to reduce the pressure on land, and just do not go towards the intensification of farming practices on those land, but it helps us to produce food on our local buildings and get that food from there directly. And this helps to restore our land, specifically the agriculture land. Right now on the screen you are seeing some glimpse of my Z farming project. So this Z farming project is actually installed by me and my father on a local school rooftop, and it requires, I guess, 21.6 square feet area. And it is not such an area because you can see from the walls that it is only 6 inches width the bottles are occupying. And I have used, people ask me why you are using bottles and how much and how you got this much bottles. So I got them from wedding hall, who used these plastic bottles on weddings, and I got them from the wedding hall. And I'm using this because I was not in mood to put the raw material into it, and I was very much destined to work with some recyclable products to make it more sustainable, to make it more resilient, and to make it more manageable. So thank you so much. And if you have any question, you can just ask in the comment section, and you can contact me as well on my email address. And thank you so much for giving me the floor, Madara.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Mariam Ikan. And she came up with very timely projects and points. So we would like to hear from you again in another session. Right. So I have a little request to our audience. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat box or comment box. Then later we can address them. So yeah, let me check if we have any questions. No, we don't have any questions, so we can continue. So I'm going to invite our fourth speaker. So before that, I'm going to introduce our next topic. So, well, then we are going to talk about an ecosystem that is really important to life on Earth in every way, but we know very little about its importance. Terrestrial ecosystems. So, terrestrial ecosystems provide many services, including providing habitat for fauna and flora, providing food, fiber, fuel, shelter resources, storing, transforming, and releasing carbon, water, and other nutrients. Over years, our forests are facing some serious issues. But what's the situation in Sri Lanka? Okay, we will understand it through a short video. Okay. So, and last but not the least, I would like to call upon youth speaker from Sri Lanka, Mr. Indunil Ranwala, to express his views on terrestrial ecosystem in Sri Lanka. Mr. KB Indunil Ranwala is the director of Database and Global Research Network, and he is the country ambassador at Eco Network, Sri Lanka. So, Mr. Indunil Ranwala, the floor is yours.
Hi, Madara. Can you hear me?
Of course, we can hear you.
All right. All right. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Since we are from the different time zones, first of all, I would like to invite myself. I'm Indunil Ranwella, and I'm graduated from the Department of Geography, University of Kelaniya, and currently I'm doing my MSc degree in Disaster Analysis Management and Mitigation at University of Colombo in Sri Lanka. So, today I'm going to talk about the terrestrial ecosystem based on my country, Sri Lanka. This is the outline of my presentation today. So I'm going to talk about the terrestrial ecosystem and the major types of terrestrial ecosystem. And at the end of the presentation, you will be able to understand how the process is going on in my country about the terrestrial ecosystem. First of all, I would like to introduce what is the terrestrial ecosystem. A land or terrestrial ecosystem is all the living organisms and their physical environment on a particular piece of land we call terrestrial ecosystem. In the other word, we can say a terrestrial ecosystem is a land-based community of organism and the interactions, biotic and abiotic components in a given area. It comprises 28 areas of the world, and terrestrial ecosystem may interact and overlap with marine and immunological ecosystems as well. So these are the major types of terrestrial ecosystem in the world. So you may have live at least one or two specific terrestrial ecosystems in the world. So we have tundra, taiga, temperate forest, and rainforest, grasslands, deserts, and Mediterranean forests. Here is the general map of the main terrestrial biomes in the world in early 20s. You can see how it has located. All right, so moving to the next slide, we will discuss about the ecosystems in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's ecosystem diversity lies in the multitude of terrestrial, inland, wetland, coastal, and marine and agricultural ecosystems that occur in the country. They include many different types of forest. Inland wetlands associated with the rivers that originate from the central mountain and over 10,000 irrigation tanks and reservoirs. And next, we will discuss about what are the forest. The forest is a complex ecosystem consisting mainly of trees that buffer the earth and support a myriad of life forms. So these are the main types of forest in Sri Lanka that you can find out. Tropical wet lowland evergreen forest, tropical submontane forest, tropical montane forest, and the other. Tropical dry monsoon, we call it mixed evergreen forest, and tropical thorn forest, riverine dry forest, and grasslands. And moving to the next slide, we will discuss about the how the forests have been changed in past decades. So forests in Sri Lanka also play a pivotal role in providing supporting and regulating the ecosystem services, and it also helps to soil conservation, reducing flood hazards, and also for forests also continue to provide a range of essential goods and services and supports livelihood of people. Furthermore, rural villages near wet zones, forest depends heavily on freshwater from forest for their daily domestic requirement. Hence, also degradation of forest resulting in reduces irregular water flows and drying up of natural spring and base flow of streams will affect rural communities in the wet zones. So you can see here the forest cover in 2019 was reported to be 16.5%, down from 29.7% in 2017. Between 1992 and 2000 lots an average of 26,800 hectares of forest per year, which amounts to an average annual deforestation rate of 1.14%. In total, between 19 to and 2005 alone, lost 17.7% of its forest cover. And these are the main concerns for the decreasing of forest covers in Sri Lanka, especially about the deforestation. You know that Sri Lanka is a country that depend on the agriculture as the primary economic activity. So we have the economic agriculture, and also we have gem mining and settlements. We are one of the countries that we can find the best and very standard gems in the world. So we are uncovering the forest for gem mining and settlements as well, and also infrastructure development projects which are going on. Sri Lanka is a development country still, so we are handling quite a lot of infrastructure development projects in current. So for these kind of projects also we are uncovering the land, and also commercial agriculture ventures and several localized drivers like cattle grazing, cardamom cultivation, and forest fires. And also overdevelopment. Some of the urban areas in Sri Lanka, such as the capital of Sri Lanka, Colombo, they are overdeveloped, urbanized areas. Because of these also, we have uncovered the land, and we have gone through the deforestation process. And also fragmentation, land degradation, poaching of wildlife, coastal degradation, and pollution also have been identified the factors that make the decreasing of forest covers in Sri Lanka. And here's the fact that make me to talk about the terrestrial ecosystem in Sri Lanka, because the Sri Lanka has been recognized as one of the highest deforestation rates in the world. So deforestation is clearing Earth's forest on a massive scale, often resulting in damage to the quality of the land and related ecosystems, where the land is thereafter converted to a non-forest use. So as you can see, Vanatha Villuva, nearly 200 acres of forest area was burned recently. It was down and destroyed. And also Hantana mountain range. This is in the middle of the country, and which is very, very important to my country. So almost 19 acres of land are cleared out for cardamom plantation as well. And also Anavilundava Sanctuary, nearly 2.5 acres of wetland area cleared out already for an agriculture project. And also Singharaja, one of the it's like the heart in my country, because it's really important and UNESCO recognized rainforest in my country. The construction of a 15 kilometers long road within the forest reserve has been proposed. The project is set to clear out approximately 15 acres of land. This is happening because of the people, the politicians, and some of the economically strong people. They just started to build up some hotels and some touristic restaurant in the middle of the Singharaja. So that's why they are ready to construct this road in the middle of the rainforest. And here we go with the impacts of deforestation. So increased soil erosion. Erosion is sweeping the land into rivers. Deforestation generally increase rates of soil loss by increasing the amount of runoff and reducing the protection of the soil from tree litter. And when it comes to disruption of water cycle, trees play a key role in the water cycle by helping to keep a balance between the water or land and water in the atmosphere. But when deforestation occurs, that balance can be thrown off, right? So resulting in changes in precipitation and river flow. Tree extract groundwater through their roots and release it to the atmosphere. When part of a forest is removed, the trees no longer transmit the water, resulting in a much drier climate. Tropical rainforests produce about 30% of our plants fresh water. And when it comes to climate change, this is probably most serious consequence of deforestation. About 80% of the world's documented species can be found in tropical rainforest. When species lose their forest homes, they are often unable to subsist in the small fragments of forest land left behind, right? So reduce the biodiversity. Deforestation also causes the greenhouse effects that leads to global warming, a contributor to climate changes. So it can be also identified as impact. The institutes and policy framework for ecosystems in Sri Lanka. So institutional setup, more than 30 states institutions are involved with some aspects of management and protection of the environment and natural resources in Sri Lanka. There are more than 10 major legislations, policies and plans that influence conservation and management of biodiversity in Sri Lanka. So I added here, you can see like how many institutions and how many agencies, key agencies, and how many biodiversity conservation supported agencies and groups have been situated, have been organized in Sri Lanka. There are quite a lot of organizations and ministries in Sri Lanka already, but the thing is that deforestation is regularly continuing and we are losing the forest. So which means that these kind of organizations and the institutes have been situated only for some of the other reasons, I mean for the other aspect. So these are the main legislation governing biodiversity conservation and other legislation having impact on biodiversity. Diversity. These are the main policies and laws that has been created by the government in Sri Lanka. So all of these laws have been represent for any kind of forest protecting projects. So these are the main forest and legislation roles in Sri Lanka. The first of all, forest ordinance. Forest ordinance is administered by the forest department. Main emphasis was on controlling the felling and transport of timber. And National Heritage and Wilderness Areas Act. National Heritage and Wilderness Area Act number 3 was passed in 1998 to provide special protection to the forest areas that harbor unique ecosystems, genetic resources, or outstanding natural features. Singharaja Forest, which is a World Heritage site at present, was the first forest area declared under this act. And next to Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance, this has been ordinance on number 2 of 1937 and subsequent amendment most recently in 2009 make provisions for the protection of fauna and flora and national reserves and sanctuaries in terrestrials and consequence. Sorry guys. And next, the most important ecosystem are declared as conservation forest under the Section 3 of the Forest Ordinance. The maximum legal protection under the Forest Ordinance is provided to the conservation forest, and no activity other than research and visitations allowed within these forests. So that's the main fact. And also international declarations, we have for World Heritage sites. There are 2 World Heritage natural properties in Sri Lanka managed by the Forest Department and used for research, education and recreation. Singharaja World Heritage Property and Central Highland of Sri Lankan World Heritage Property can be identified as the international declarations. And here are the suggestions that what we can do to decrease the deforestation and to protect our environment and this terrestrial ecosystem, especially about the forest ecosystem. Improve and develop new methods and techniques to recycle or salvage garbage. Initiate and support research activities on garbage recycling and management programs, and enhancing existing soil conservation methods with more robust techniques and with greater public awareness, enhance existing forest conservation legislation and develop management towards sustainable and participatory methods, and also enhancing wildlife department regulations and improve implementation of wildlife conservations initiative with public support. And also we can enhance freshwater resources legislation and strengthen and sustain public participation for waste conservation, and implement healthy environment legislation and provide more power to the Central Environment Authority, which has already been located in the Colombo, and strengthen environmental legislation and initiate a degree program on environmental law. Some of the degree programs have been already implemented, and they have been very successful recently. So in major universities in Sri Lanka, they have already been started to focus on the environment and to discuss about some of the course codes, some of the subjects related with the environment and about the forest. So thank you so much. If you have any question, please raise up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Idril Ranwala, for sharing your expertise with us. So, with no doubt that we were impressed by your presentation. So, I'm checking for the questions. Yeah, I see no questions so far, so we can continue. Okay, right. Well, that's all we've got for you here today. So before we wrap up the session, I would like to invite Mr. Muhammad Abu Rahat to propose the closing remarks to conclude the conference. Mr. Muhammad Abu Rahat is the head of publications of EcoNetwork Global, coordinator of Project Aparajita and Project Climate, and he is also a researcher at EcoNetwork Research Society. Mr. Muhammad Abu Rahat, this is your chance.
Everyone, am I audible?
Of course, you're audible.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madhura. For the nice introduction. It is always a pleasure in this kind of
Mr. Muhammad. Yeah.
Getting invitation on behalf of the youth. Hello?
Yes, you can continue now.
Okay, Mother. Thank you. Getting invitation on behalf of the EcoNetwork Executive Committee is always prestigious. At first, I would like to propose my vote of thanks to all of our speakers. Ivy, Sadman, Indunil, and Mariam, you have done exceptionally well. I was listening to your speech very attentively. Your presentation were also very fabulous. You have nicely demonstrated the present condition of our ecosystem, how we are putting our negative footprints on them, how anthropogenic activities pollute our nature, how global warming, climate change, environment pollution, and natural causes
Mr. Muhammad, we can't hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Am I not clearly audible?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. South Asian countries are not the biggest contributor of climate change, but they have the greatest threats to long-term regional stability in South Asia, especially in Southeast Asia. Countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and India are some of the most vulnerable countries in the world. They are the worst sufferer of climate change and natural calamities. Today, we have gathered here to attend an international conference on ecosystem restoration. But why does ecosystem restoration necessary? Think of why. Ecosystem restoration is necessary nowadays as ecological collapse happened. What is ecological collapse? Ecological collapse indicates a transition beyond a bounded threshold in one or more indicators that define the identity and natural variability of an ecosystem. Each and every components of different ecosystems have altered due to human interruption.
Mr. Muhammad? Yeah, I think he's not here. Maybe he's having a technical issue. So, okay, now it is time to wrap up our session. So that's all for today. So thank you, Mr. Muhammad Abu Rahat, for your valuable words. And we know we faced various obstacles from the beginning. I'm very happy to have been able to overcome all that and succeed in this task so far. We also apologize to the audience for any inconvenience caused by this. And our sincere thanks to all our young leaders who participated in this conference today, despite their technical difficulties, by devoting their precious time. Great. So the proceedings of the conference have come to an end, and we thank you for your presence and contribution. Let me tell you one more thing. Divided we fall, united we stand. Let's make this quote our inspiration to work hard to restore our ecosystem. Thank you all for attending. We hope you have learned and enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.